Uh, for about a couple of year and a half, I've been seriously studying marijuana arrests in the United States. I sort of decided that somebody needs to be the world's expert on low-level misdemeanor marijuana possession arrests, the largest variety of drug arrests in the United States, or in the world for that matter. And since nobody else was volunteering for the job, I did. I've been focusing on New York City, but not only New York City, and I'm now sort of moving this to another level. This has not been published anyplace, although it's been presented in testimony in a couple of places, and it was actually a couple of the graphs I'm going to show you were presented to the United States Senate, not by me, but by a famous economist a couple of weeks ago. This stuff will be available in December in a report, but next thing I'm going to do is really do national, but I'm going to show you some national data as well. I've been interviewing police, attorneys, prosecutors, some judges, people who've been arrested for possessing marijuana, again, mostly in New York, but not only in New York. And I've gotten data from the New York State Police Department out of Albany and New York State, and FBI data on marijuana arrests around the country, and I want to show you some of what I have found. From 1997 to 2006, New York City Police Department arrested and jailed more than 360,000 people for possessing small amounts of marijuana, 10 times more than in the previous decade and 9 times more than the decade before that. Everybody was charged with a misdemeanor with the lowest level of criminal offense. Everybody was handcuffed, put in the back of a police car, taken to the local police station, fingerprint photographed, and had their information sent to the FBI, never to come back. Most were then taken to spend the night in one of the city's 5 deplorable and awful scary central jails. These were all cases in which marijuana possession was the most serious offense. In other words, these are not people who were arrested for some other more serious crime and then found to be possessing marijuana. These are marijuana possession arrests. It begins with Rudolph Giuliani. It continues unabated under supposedly more moderate Mayor Michael Bloomberg. They've attracted little attention. The media has barely not talked about this at all. To this day, few New Yorkers know that their city's been on historically unprecedented marijuana arrest campaign. And the truth is that New York City probably arrests more people than any city in the world right now. Most of the people arrested possessed only a tiny amount, a few grams in a cigarette or part of one, or in a $5 or $10 bag, a nickel bag or dime bag in street parlance. Some people were arrested with just standing with or near other people who were arrested. According to numerous police, public defenders, legal aid, and private attorneys, most of the people arrested were not smoking in public. We repeat that. They were not smoking. They simply had marijuana in their possession, often in their pocket. In most cases, the police found the marijuana because they stopped and searched the people in ethically questionable or blatantly illegal searches. Huge numbers of arrests has not been equally distributed among the people of New York. The vast majority of the people arrested have been blacks and Latinos. The arrests of New York have always been racially biased. The huge number increase in the last decade means far more blacks and Latinos are arrested. Of the 362,000 arrests, as you can see here, oh Christ, is that part of that missing? Look at that, it's the damn Apple computer's eating part of my graphs. There's supposed to be lines. What a pain in the butt. Sorry about that, folks. I hope it doesn't keep doing like this. 54% of blacks, 30% Latinos, 14% whites. In the last 10 years, New York City has arrested 200,000 blacks, 100,000 Latinos, and 50,000 whites. The majority of these people, or vast majority, are under 30 years of old. 91% are male. Most are poor, working class from the outer boroughs, from cities' less affluent neighborhoods. This shows the rest for the last 20 years. For the rest for each year were whites, Hispanics, and blacks. Right-hand column shows the last 10 years. Left is the previous 10. In the last 10 years, although blacks were 27% of New York's population, they're 54% of the arrests, about double. Hispanics were about 27% of the population, 30% of the arrests. Non-Hispanic whites, about 35% of New York City's population, about 14% of the people arrested were white. You can't even see, here, there's a little bit of a, this is what happens when you go from a MS, a Microsoft file to a, those are the whites. You can barely can see the lines here. It's supposed to be dark and bold and so on. This gives you the indications for the last 10 years. It allows you to see that disparity has remained quite steady. On average, New York has arrested about 5,000 whites, 10,000 Hispanics, and nearly 20,000 blacks a year for 10 years. It turns out to about 100 whites, 200 Hispanics, or 400 blacks every week for the last 10 years. The greatest discrepancy was in 2006, when 5 black New Yorkers were arrested for every white ones. What about use? Maybe blacks and Latinos use marijuana more than whites, and that's why they're getting arrested. And again, here, as you can see, that's the white bars stuck over here in the corner. This is a high school senior survey, 2004 and 2005, monitoring the future. The first set of the columns shows the once or more in life, second, once or more in the last year, third, once or more in the last month, and of course the daily use. In every case, whites use marijuana, high school seniors, more than blacks or Latinos. Again, we can't, those are the white bars. This is 18 to 25-year-olds, the household survey. This actually shows 4 years. You get 2002, 2003 combined, and 2004, 2005 combined, U.S. government data. Again, in every category, whites are using marijuana more than blacks and Hispanics. This is the age group in New York City and just about every place in America that gets more marijuana arrests than anybody else. These are the people being arrested. This one shows you each of the New York's 5 boroughs. We have 5 boroughs or counties. New York is so huge that you can't hide things, or you can't, I mean, if once you can go pull the cover back, it's massive. In each of the 5 boroughs, it shows the percentage of the population is black and the percentage of the marijuana arrestees who were black. In Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan, Staten Island, and in the city as a whole, the black percentage of marijuana arrests was double or more the black percentage of the population. In Staten Island, for example, where blacks were about 10% of the population, they were 50% of the marijuana arrestees. In Manhattan, 17% of the population, about 45% of the arrestees. That continues for all the other boroughs, and I could make a white chart, I have made a white chart, that's just the complete reverse of this one. Look at this, we're losing the white people here completely. They're right there. Yeah, it's a kind of subliminal point. This one shows the arrest rate of whites, blacks, and Hispanics calculated by the number of each group in the city as a whole. In 2006,